There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. I am your host, Judge Dredd, and I am the law. That is a little nod to the Fat Jack's Comic Crypt guys who had an amazing show on Friday night. So, hey to you guys. And we're going to get things started today. Now, I'm not going to do any news today. We'll pick up on that tomorrow. We'll have, kind of the latest and greatest tomorrow. We have a guest today. But before we get started, I just want to point out, Kyle, that wasn't a new opening.
You sent me a file that I couldn't animate, so we'll talk about that later.
Well, if you're going to get technical about it, geez. Okay. All right. We are going to be joined today by an old friend of mine, one of, kind of the premier cosplayers in the industry. She has been... most people know her as AZ Powergirl, but she has done a ton of different costumes and characters. She is also one of the people that portrays Patriotica for Mount Olympus. She has her own comic series, Fire Bitch, where she also portrays the main character and writes it with her husband, Alfred Trujillo. And she's just returned from Comic Palooza in Texas. So we're going to find out about getting back to the convention scene after the year of pandemic and much more. So we are now joined by Cara Nicole.
Ooh. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing well. It's been a day or two since we've talked.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah. So let's start with the fact that you are just back from Comic Palooza in Texas.
Yes.
How was the show and how was it post-pandemic?
So, okay. Do you want to be a little more specific with your questions?
Well, just the whole meeting and greeting fans. Texas is not probably high up on the level of mask wearing and stuff like that. So what was it like just being out there? And
a lot of people, most people were not wearing masks. There were some people who were. There are some people that are like talking about like, hey, the Delta variant, blah, 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 stuff and things. They're concerned. People really didn't talk about it. So, and this is actually the second show I've been to. I was at Steel City in Pittsburgh. And like I said, same thing. A few people wearing masks, but for the most part, everyone's just like, COVID's over. And that's kind of the national consensus right now. Most people are, COVID's over, don't care. I'm not wearing the mask. And that's kind of like what I'm seeing a lot of is a lot of people just living life as if nothing ever happened.
Mark Holmes says, not many masks worn around here. Steph Wilson says you're awesome. So now what about the attendee? I mean, the attendees, but what about the actual guests?
Like the attendees? Yeah. Like I said, everyone's acting like nothing ever happened.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually went up on a vacation about 2 weeks ago, and it was a same thing where, hardly any masks anywhere, which was really strange. I'm in Los Angeles, so the rules were a little more stringent, stuff like that.
Right.
But
no, that is very true.
Yeah, so it was very, very much of a culture shock for me to run around San Luis Obispo and,
right.
Yeah, it was very strange. So we have Ashley DJ Skyrim saying she'd love to get an autograph from you. So while we're on it, is there a web page or something people can reach out to you, get some of your
Yeah, so here, let me put some of my links in the private chat and you can move it. So 183 Degree is my store. And you can get a lot of stuff there, but I also have my my card campaign.
Right, which is an Indiegogo right now,
It's an Indiegogo right now, and it's a deck of cards. It's a deck of cards, and every single card has a different image on it, a different cosplay image, not to be repeated within the deck. And then I also have a pinup book as well, so you can get you can get all of the images in the card deck inside the pinup book as well.
Okay, so there you go, Ashley, who wanted to make sure we knew he was a guy. Apologize if I misspoke, Ashley. But all right, so they get the card thing. So you have 52 unique images. Is it 52 unique costumes, or is it?
Okay, so every card, I did the normal deck of cards. I did two Jokers, which are actually a Joker and a Harley. I did a wild card, which is Waldo. And I even threw in an Old Maid. The wild card and the Old Maid were stretch goals that we did hit. So the Old Maid is my Yvette from Clue. She's a maid. Nice. And so, so that deck, that's everything that came in the deck. All the cards plus the Jokers and the Wild and the Old Maid all come in the deck. And the only thing I would say that I didn't have cosplay-wise were the kings. So I shot every single king is just me, no costume, in something fancy with a crown. But I do have every card has a different cosplay.
All right, so that's pretty impressive that you had enough to fill up all that. You know,
I actually had more. There are things that did not make it in the deck. Really? And I thought, and some people were like, well, do you have enough? Well, I mean, I guess if you did like the bathing suit and the regular, or the boudoir and the regular, no, they're at like one Catwoman in the deck. That is it. There's a different Catwoman for a cover of the book of one of the variant covers, but in the deck, there are no repeats.
Wow. So how many different cosplays have you done?
I don't know. I have no idea. Not a clue. More than 52.
Now you're known as AZ Powergirl.
Yes.
Was Powergirl your first cosplay?
Absolutely.
Is she your most popular, or have any others overtaken?
Well, Black Cat is really high. People really like that one. Fire Bitch is my character, so obviously I want to push that out there. But yeah, Power Girl and Black Cat are pretty up there as far as what I'm known for.
Has there been any cosplay that you started working on and just abandoned because it was like
a bunch of them. I have stuff in there. I'm working on the 2016 Harley Quinn wedding dress that Chad Harden created. That's half done, and I need to finish it. I have my Power Girl actually is out of commission right now because the zipper broke and the gold wore off, and I just have tons of stuff I'm in the middle of that didn't get finished. I get hired a lot to do covers for independent creators, so that's kind of taken over. So now I do a lot of work for indie comic creators. And so that's kind of where, and the thing is people say, oh, but I want you to do my character. So here's the thing. Covers come first. I will always do a cover of a book before anyone's personal stuff. Because for me to do a costume that's someone's personal thing or whatever for them, it's very hindering towards me, because it's literally something that's only for one person that they're going to lock down. That, they might think that other people will enjoy it, but everybody is not you. And sometimes it's a big hit and sometimes it's not. So for me to take that amount of time that it takes to make a costume, do the photo shoot, do the edits, do all of this for one person is a huge undertaking. And it's, for me to make it worth the time that I lose doing something that everybody can enjoy, as well, with all of that, it's very cost prohibitive. So I don't want anyone coming at me like, oh, you're a bitch. You want $2,000. Well, if I can't sell it to anybody except you, then yeah, it's going to cost because I just can't do that. It's like going to McDonald's and saying, hey, I don't want any of this. I need you to go home and make me a custom meal. And I want you to work 40 hours on it because I want the full shebang and nobody else can see it or have it or use it except me. Or sure, you can sell it to other people, but nobody wants it.
I see. How much, well, okay, this is a question I probably should have started with, but how much is cosplay your business? I mean, how much, do you have another job or is this is your main business?
This is my main business, this and comic book creation.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are people that think, oh, well, cosplay should just be for fun. It's like, well, then you can't expect me to be at 36 conventions a year because you can't take that time off of work. You can't. I can't give you a new cosplay photo shoot every single month. I can't do that. I can't work for all these people and work another job. It's just very prohibitive. There's only so many hours in a day. And this just kind of took over.
Interesting. So you do 36 conventions a year?
I did in 2016. I've had to pull back because it was just too daunting. And especially with trying to do the comic books. So comic books have really taken a huge time chunk out of my life. And so, making sure that I bring out those comic books for everybody. That's where it's at.
Okay. So I know you've done Vampirella for Dynamite.
I did do Vampirella for Dynamite.
And you've done Patriotica for Mount Olympus.
Numerous Patrioticas, including the black suit, the standard suit, the bikini, and a new one is coming.
Okay. What other comics have you been on the cover of?
Lily the Demoness, tons of Totally Rad, which I've got some new covers I need to do for them as well. Totally Rad comics for Totally Rad Life of Violet, Totally Rad Life of Kitty Banger. I did another one too. I did a horror one for them. I did a ton of Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassins where I made some amazing, glorious wings. Mm-hmm. I've done starring Sonia Devereaux from Todd Livingston. Obviously, our book Spire Bitch and my book Confessions of a Cosplay Diva. I did tons of variant covers for that. I'm trying to think. I don't want to leave anyone out. I did Home.
Mark Holmes says Bunny Goes to Space.
Bunny Goes to Space. I did Bunny Goes to Space. I did Vampires of New Jersey. So I did The Changeling. No, Mark, I did not do a Sisterhood cover.
Okay.
But I can, because they invited me to. Hint, hint.
So how many covers do you do? I mean, it sounds like they take up how much does a cover take up compared to like a normal cosplay set?
It depends. It depends. It depends because every creator wants something different. Some creators, they're like, they just want the covers. So, okay, that's a little easier. But it also depends on the costume. If the costume is very complicated, then it's going to take more time for me to do that. So, Sisterhood was the Mummy. Yeah, okay, I did do Sisterhood. I was thinking of something else. But yeah, I did do Sisterhood. I don't know. It just depends. It really depends. Where am I shooting? What all am I using it for? Like I did one where I did 5 different costumes that I put into one of my music videos. So along with shooting their project, I did the music video as well. Sometimes they want a full photo set. Sometimes they want just covers. So it really, really depends. And I know there's so many vague questions people ask when it comes to cosplay. How much is a cosplay cover? Well, it depends. Am I buying some lingerie off Amazon or am I building a mech? They're very, very different. How much editing? Am I talking full body paint? How much editing needs to be involved? Mm-hmm. Are we putting me in space? Or are they just cute in front of a backdrop? Is it something I can wear in public? If I can't wear something in public, I have to take into consideration where I can shoot that's appropriate for your cover.
Okay. Now, do you build the costumes yourself, or do they supply the costume for you? How does that work?
I've never, I've really never had anyone supply a costume for me. Except for, Marvel, but I didn't do a cover for them. But yeah, I usually do it myself because a lot of times they don't know where it's coming from. I'm not opposed to it. Like there are some comic creators who are starting to sell their cosplay suits with their campaigns, in which case, I would be down for that. But so far I've had to make or purchase or create the costumes myself.
Now, you said Marvel gave you a suit?
Yeah, I worked for them in 2011 at San Diego Comic-Con, and they gave me some Party City thing. It was like a Party City like Captain America costume.
I have a feeling the Party City line is pretty much the insult of the cosplay industry.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen some good things done with it. Like I had one friend who was a cosplayer, and she just bought a Party City costume, and then she did some battle damage on it for her battle damage Supergirl. And if you're going to do something where you would have to make a costume to destroy it, just buy it, Yeah. And I'm not opposed to purchased costumes. I will always modify something to make it be good. It really just depends. I mean, I have bought Zentais before. I've bought costumes before. I've modified things. I'll buy pieces and I'll change them up and mix them up and do some different stuff.
Mm-hmm. How did you get into this? How did you go from normal life to AZ Powergirl? Did you freeze? Okay, looks like she froze, so we will work on getting her back in. Maybe. All right. So while we wait for her to come back in,
oh, there we are.
There we are. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was me or you.
Yeah. What I was asking was, how did you get into doing cosplay? And because I mean, this has become a career for you, but
yes.
Did you get into it with that idea, or did you step into it lightly and then suddenly it just took off? How did all this work?
Well, it kind of was an accident. So I started doing this with a little cosplay group, and then I was like, hey, let's go to Comic-Con. And they're like, we can't afford it. And I'm like, we're a charity group. We get it for free. And so we did that. And then it was, are you going to be at San Diego? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I'm like, okay. And so I looked for a job in San Diego. And then I got hired by Archie Comics, who, wanted me. And then Marvel was like, hey, will you work with us instead? And I was like, yes. And and I did that. And I just kind of slowly snowballed over the years. And you were actually one of the first photographers to give me a chance. And I do appreciate that. And I don't remember if I put it in Confessions. I thought I did. If I didn't, it'll go in the next one. There was so much in that book and I can't remember. But yeah, when you're just starting and you're just trying to figure things out. And I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning. I had no idea. This was not a job back then. Right. Who did we know that this was a job? It just wasn't a thing. And then it just started to snowball and it just became it and took over my life.
Yeah, I remember the first time going to a convention and seeing a cosplayer in Artist Alley. It really surprised me. I'm like, wait, this is a thing now? Because I remember shortly before that, there was a big kind of a backlash about having adult stars in that area.
Right. But we're not adult stars.
Right. but it seemed like you guys they kind of pushed them out, and then there was this void, and cosplayers kind of moved in, which is much more connected to the industry, which makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I just thought, the timing I thought was kind of interesting. But, I remember meeting you at the Phoenix show. God, more than a decade ago now? Has it really been that long?
No, it hasn't. It's been like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What was I thinking? I haven't done Phoenix in a few years now, but I need to get back up.
Well, no one's done Phoenix in a few years now.
The last Phoenix show I did was the one where the guy tried to kill the Green Ranger.
Right? That messed up everything. And, it's the whole Southwest is like that now. The whole Southwest is like, we can't have lightsabers. We can't do this. We can't do that. It's a mess. And if you look at other parts of the country, they will still allow you to bring in airsoft guns. They will still allow you to bring in swords and knives and stuff.
Yeah.
They don't do that here. They do not do that here. Like, no.
Mm. Yeah, I remember that show and just how overnight, how security changed and, And
the thing is, though, when Phoenix Comic-Con ran its own security, they didn't have these problems.
Right.
But then the convention center was like, oh, you're making all this money. We need to run your security because they wanted to be paid for it. They don't know how to run security. They don't know our stuff. They don't know our products. They don't know our props. They do not know how things work. And that guy got in through an unsecured side door. The convention center itself screwed that up for all of us because they don't know what they're doing. These are not regular people. So you really do need to work with the conventions because they know their people and they know everything in regards to their industry. Yeah. And they are the professionals, but the convention center wanted the money. They did a hokey half-assed job and this happened. All they had to do was lock the damn door.
Yeah. I am a big fan of the Phoenix show. I started back with them in when they were still in Tempe and doing a 2-day show.
Yes, and it was Mesa.
Yeah, and I remember calling up and getting Joe Joe.
I know.
Brody. Yeah. I got Joe on the line, and I said, "Do you guys have any pro badges? I'm going to be in the area, and I'd like to check out your show while I'm there." A buddy of mine named Caleb was actually helping them out as a volunteer. He's like, "You should come see this show," and their response was, "We don't have any pro badges, but would you like a table?" I'm like, "Sure." So I threw some stuff. Joe Boudry. There it is. Thank you, Shannon.
Yes.
Joe and Mark are two amazing guys. And I showed up at that show, and Joe met me at the front door and walked me into the convention. And I expected to be in some back alley corner. And I'm sitting next to like Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor, Josh Middleton, and they just made a table for me. And it's like, I've been a fan of that show ever since. And I will, anytime they've got a space for me, I'll be happy to show up. They're just great guys. But yeah, as it's gotten bigger and the convention center has gotten more involved, it's become, but the heart of the show is still there. And that's, hopefully they'll be able to kind of rein it in a little bit, get more control over it.
Well, and it's a mess right now because of COVID. So now they're looking at January, and whenever they do a winter show, it's never good, but they never do it at the convention center. They always do it in some weird place. But I think people are excited to go back. And usually Phoenix is a 4-day show, and I think now it's only a 3-day show. Yeah. That's like a whole day that vendors can't make money.
True. But I got to tell you, not being from Arizona, I preferred the winter shows because you could walk places. You walk from your hotel. I always stayed at, I think it's the Wyndham. It's like 2 blocks away, just down the street. But by the time you walk from your hotel, the 2 blocks you are sweating. It's just horrible because
it's gross.
Yeah, it's so oppressively hot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we'll see what happens because it's a whole weird thing.
Yeah, I think all the conventions are going to be having those kind of issues, exactly how they're going to deal with all this stuff. And it really comes down to the governors and stuff, what rules they're going to have for each convention. You know, it's like, I think an LA convention is going to have to be a lot more stringent than your Texas convention, than your, Arizona convention is probably going to be a little easier than a California convention too.
But we don't know what's going to happen because usually they are on Memorial Day. And what happens when now they can't be on Memorial Day for 2022 because they're in January? What happens the next year? Now you're going to go a year and a half. Like, what are they doing here?
Yeah. I don't know if they could get a good weekend, because if they could get like Martin Luther King weekend where some people have that day off, get back up to 4 days, but stay in the winter, I think would actually benefit them.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens with the following year. But a lot of the shows are doing that same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the shows, because they're moving to this winter, what's going to happen? Are they going to is C2E2 going to do another show in like April? A few months later?
Right.
Are the fans going to want to pay for that again? Yeah. And there are fans that go from show to show to show. They're not all local. They do travel.
Oh, yeah.
So what's going to happen with that? And then your vendors. People are actually saying, I can't do this show because I'm doing this show instead. That they used to do both.
Absolutely.
So I don't really know.
Yeah, and I know when I was doing conventions, and I want to get back out there, but I would see the same guests. I would see the same artists. I would see the same vendors. You know, the lightsaber guys would be there, and the artists with the giant wall of prints. You know, the same small press guys, the same. You know, and so these guys are traveling all over the place. It's going to be a mess to get ramped back up because everybody had their niche, their area, their time on the calendar. You know, but it's gotten to the point where you're going to have 4 or 5 cons on a weekend. I mean, it gotten to that point anyway where I'd be trying to cover it for Bleeding Cool, and I'd be like, okay, well, this con's going on over here, this one's over there, this one's going on there, and that, I mean, it almost got to the point where it seemed like we had con saturation. You know, everybody was trying to feed off of each other, not having enough guests, not enough big names. Some of the bigger vendors weren't showing up. Yeah, there's definitely, Charles is right. Charles Radcliffe says there's a circuit for vendors. And that is absolutely true. There's a lot of people that this is their money. This is, you know, I think of, you know, I know a lot of retailers who do a con circuit, and it offsets the cost of, you know, having the store and stuff like that. And I know some that only do conventions, you know?
Yeah, I do too.
So how many conventions do you have coming up? I mean, you just did 2. Where's your next convention, and what's the rest of this year looking like for you?
Okay, so next month I've got Planet Comic-Con. I've got El Paso in September. I'm looking at possibly another show, either Salt Lake or Dallas. They're the same weekend. So then I have King Con in Washington State. And I don't know about Baltimore. I know that there are people that want me at shows, but I cannot go from one show home and then jump on a plane and do another and another and another. It exhausts me. And it's hard because people are very demanding of your time and they want you to do this. And they don't understand because they think I'm nice. But if I have to do shows back to back like that, I will not be nice. I will be a crabby biatch. And like, I will treat you like a praying mantis and bite your head off. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that to myself. I don't want to do that to the fans. So I really have to pace myself. But C2E2 is a maybe. And I've got a show in Minnesota.
Okay.
Nerd and Outcon. And that's what I have so far. And I need to like write it all down, but I'm too busy doing 57,000 other things.
Okay, we're at the halfway point of our show, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back with Kara Nicole and talking about some more stuff, including Fire Bitch. So come back with us.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Hey everybody, we are back with the Dan Wickline Show. I want to remind you guys that here on The Experience, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at _EXP1 and see what our schedule is going to be, what we got coming up, and some great behind-the-scene photos, stuff like that. So join us on Instagram and TikTok at _EXP1. All right, let's bring back in our guest, Kara Nicole. She is AZ Powergirl. She is one of the premier cosplayers on the convention circuit. She is writer of, now you write the Fire Bitch series, right?
Yes, Alfred and I write Fire Bitch together.
Okay. So let's
it's like
talk
dueling
about
pianos. Like we both have our screen up and we're in the same document. And then I'll be typing and he'll be typing and then he'll write something and I'll be like, delete, delete, delete. And then I'll replace it. And we go back and forth. And then sometimes we're jerks. And you can tell in the scripts where like, I'll write some ridiculousness or he'll write some ridiculousness. And it's just.
I have never heard of anybody co-writing in the same document at the same time. Yes.
So much nicer, because the thing is if you don't, then you end up with which document is the one, and then you got to compare them. Just use the same document.
Yeah. The times I've co-written, usually what would happen is we'd talk back and forth over what the plot was going to be. I would write out the script, send it to him, and he would add in all the curse words. It works really well.
That's so cute.
Yeah, that's how I describe working with Steve Niles. Steve's a good friend of mine, and we've done a handful of books, but definitely the curse words were his. I tend not to put many in unless it's for extreme emphasis, and he's a little more free with them. That's probably the biggest difference between our writing. So, all right. So how did Fire Bitch come about? What made you guys decide to do your own comic?
Well, we'd always been in comics in one way or another. And, Alfred is a doodler. He draws all the time. And he posted this image and he was like, give her a name. And Mike DeMalfa was like, Fire Bitch. And we're like, yeah, we're going with that. And then I came up with this whole weird backstory. And he's like, okay. And we just pulled the trigger. A lot of what's in our books are making fun of our friends. Raven from Zenoscope is a friend of ours, and we have a character whose name is Raven, and she is based on him. She's actually a cross between Raven from Zenoscope and my friend Kayla, who works at NASA.
Not sure you could actually merge those two things.
Yes, you can. And I did. Fire bitch, people say, oh, you're a fire bitch. It's based on you. No, it's not, because she's a terrible person. And I based her a lot on the personalities of a lot of the cosplayers that I know who are kind of like very blasé and don't care about, they're just like, yep, give me my money, bye, thank you, whatever, thank you, no thank you, sorry, not sorry, like that kind of attitude. Some snotty girls that I've seen over the years in the business, that sort of thing. So I kind of accentuate it all and make it a little more ridiculous.
Now, how many issues have come out so far?
2. Issue 2 is being shipped right now, but it's still on Indiegogo.
Right. Now, you do these specifically through crowdfunding. You do Kickstarter and then Indiegogo campaigns.
You can find them at a few stores, and if you are a store that is interested, we would love to be in your store.
Yeah. James Sanchez is a fan. He says no one is as cool as Kara Nicole.
Well, thank you.
Now, what made you decide to go the route of just crowdfunding and not going through like Diamond or?
Because Diamond's hard. It's hard. So I mean, there's a lot of logistics in regards to that. We deal a little with like boutique books. We deal with a lot of collectors books. Things that are gradable. And comic book stores, if you notice, they don't sell a $15, $20 book. They sell a $5 book, which is a whole different printing process. And we are open to that, but Diamond was going through a lot of hiccups this past year with DC and Marvel. It's like, are they both going to pull out? And if they do pull out, does anyone even have a chance? Is anyone going to use Diamond? So you can see there's a lot of issues in regards to that. So yeah. Diamond is on our agenda, but our books are longer than, they're not 22-page books. This is not a monthly title. We'd like for it to be a monthly title at some point, but right now we just can't seem to make that happen. Comic books are very expensive, as you know, to create. So, and it's so funny how many people say, oh, I have a comic book idea. How much would it be? And when you tell them it's like $5,000, they're like, huh? Like, yeah. And it's a lot of work. Well, can't you just know? Because every single page is like 2 full days worth of work. Between, the penciler, the inker, the colorist, the letterer. People don't even understand, like lettering alone is an art form. Oh, yeah. You're not just putting words on a page. There's down to things like the size of your letters in correlation to your word balloons. Did you write your script in a way that will allow for the word balloon placement without covering important pieces of art? These are, just that structure alone is very complicated. There's things with the tails. The tails can't be too long. They can't be too short. Who speaks first on a page? A layout. A lot of people, they might be a good artist. Oh, my friend draws. Okay, but can they tell a story with their drawings that fit within these pages and these parameters? Mm-hmm. Storytelling in comic books is a whole other art form altogether. And I know plenty of writers that I've seen their script and they just like scratch it out. But then it's like, well, this guy left the room over here and you didn't write where he came back in the room. Now he's just on the page. Are you going to write that in? Where's the word balloon that says coming, something to bring that character back? You have to remember these things. Who speaks first has to be on the left. Also, you don't want like a million, face panels.
Right.
Of people just talking. So then it's like, okay, if you've got 2 pages of people talking, you want to be able to like rotate your camera essentially to show everything, what's going on in the background. How are they looking? What are their responses? How many times have you opened up a book, and you've seen these people are conversing and no one's mouth is opening? You have to think about those things. Open your mouth if you are speaking. I do editing for other people. I had one creator who I went over his book, and I was like, well, wait a minute. You've got this person yelling at this guy, and he's responding, but he's deaf and not facing her. And I told him, he's like, damn, you're right. And he had to have that guy turned around, because you have to take into consideration your characters, what their abilities are. You know, you got a deaf guy. You can't yell at a deaf guy and he can hear you now. You know, so you got to make sure all these little angles. I did some work for a guy, and I looked at his script and I looked at the art, and it was a girl smoking weed on a bus. And she had like a little tiny bong bubbler, and she was smoking weed out of the part where the weed goes and lighting the hole where you put your mouth. And I was like, okay, we're going to talk about this. Like, you don't know how this works. And, you know, I told him, I was like, it's actually probably better to not have her smoking on a bus. Just have him give her candy. And so we went with that because, you know, there are these things. People, if you don't know how something works, learn about it. Educate yourself. How does this work? But like I said, telling a story in comic books alone is an art form. You can't just, I got a guy who could draw. Mm-hmm. You know, a guy who can draw is great if you have the ability. And you do, Dan. You know how to write a script that is very descriptive. Now, let me ask you something, Dan. I should have you on a show and interview you. So, how many times have you looked at pages for a script and said, you didn't draw half of what I wrote?
Oh, yeah. That happens a lot.
Oh, or now I have to change what I'm putting in here, because if I send this back to you, you're going to be an asshole about it and be like, well, this is my art. It's like, okay, but now I got to change my story to accommodate the fact that you forgot this or didn't fucking read. Excuse my language.
Oh, yeah. There's always that stage where you get the art and you have to adjust the script for the art, because sometimes you don't have the time to go back and fix the art.
Right.
And there's also, I've worked with a lot of up and coming artists and letterers and stuff like that. And I have had to actually explain to them the idea of the natural flow of the eye, how, you know, the reader's eye, how the art is laid out and how the lettering is laid out should naturally guide the reader's eyes through the backwards S, through all the panels and over to the next page. And a lot of people don't know that part of storytelling, and letterers have to know that too, because they, you know, you could have a perfectly drawn page that's going to guide the reader through, but the letterer puts the balloons in weird places, and you end up not knowing where to go next. You know?
Yes, exactly. There's so many, a double spread, but they didn't take into consideration where the pages open up. You cannot have a double spread if the pages don't open up together.
Oh, yeah. You have to start them on an even page.
That's right.
Yep. Christopher Zargris says hello.
Hello, Christopher Zagreus.
Yep. You seem to have lots of friends.
Yeah.
Nice to have them come join us here today. Hopefully they'll stick around. And, hey, you guys, hit those like and subscribe buttons while you're here, please. You know, I see a lot of you guys are on Facebook.
Trying to get going, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're building this show up and bringing more guests on. So the bigger we get, the bigger guests we get. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We now finally have Kara on here. So and I told you this in private, but I want to say it in public too. You were one of the first people I thought about bringing on the show. I just needed to get some of the kinks worked out and whatnot. And
I don't kink shame, so it's all good.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. So 2 issues into Fire Bitch. What happens next? Is there a third one coming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's more. There's definitely more. I like to have our story arcs in 3s.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next book will be the ending of the first story arc, and then we'll, move on to 4 or 5. This is an ongoing story. We've got a lot going on for it. I mean, and hint for anyone out there who works in the business, we'd like for Fire Bitch to go animated series. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you should do a movie. Everybody's an alien. Unless you have $1 billion or everyone looks like crap, animated's definitely the way to go for this series.
Yeah. You're probably right on that. So will there be, because if somebody's coming in, they've missed the first 2, well, the Indiegogo is still available, you said, for number 2, but if they missed number 1, you can get it on the Indiegogo, but you can also get some off of our store. You can also message me.
issue 1, we do have some extras. Buku Comics carries it. There are a few stores out there that do carry it. But if there's a variant cover, like you want the DeBalfo or you want the Spider-Man 300 swipe or something, our store has a lot of that, 183degreestudio.com. And we will be posting pages of the book. We're gonna be putting it on some of the digital sites, as well as posting it for people to get online, to like read along with us.
Christopher is asking kind of the question I was getting though. After 3 issues, are you going to make a trade, or is it going to be an omnibus?
I don't know. I would like to have a trade, but I think that would be something that I would like to get in with another publishing company. If I can get, because trades are very expensive. And it's so funny because I had someone who's like, well, hey, we sell a lot of trades in our store. Are you going to do a trade? It's like, are you buying 2,000? That's a little too much. That's right.
Yeah.
Because in order to get a price break to justify purchasing these trades, they would make them very expensive. So I have to be able to purchase enough to get the price break down low enough to justify that expense. They're also very heavy. So now I've got this trade that if I'm not in Diamond, to ship them, there's a lot of logistics. So, and I think it's very interesting. I'm sure you've dealt with this a lot, where people, the fans, they want to tell you how to run your business. Right. Oh, do a statue. Get me a koozie. Get me this. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Are you paying $50 for that koozie? Go for it. I'll order you one. But if I can't get enough orders to justify an expenditure like that, to get those price breaks, it's just not feasible.
What about some of the print-on-demand options that are out there?
So those are fine, but it's still print-on-demand, because they're printing digitally, costs you a lot more. So in order to justify a trade, okay, I print on demand, I'm doing a lot of work for like no profit. And
especially color.
And I know that there's a lot of ideas out there and people want things. That's great. But if I don't profit, I don't eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't pay my bills. I don't have electricity so that I can have internet so that I can make more product. So we always have to be moving up. I've got people to pay. I've got artists to pay. I've got, boxes to buy so that I can even put it in a box and send it to you. So print on demand, people think that it's all that, but it's not that great. If, you want to pay $80 for that trade? No, they want to pay $10. The whole point of a trade is they want a cheaper price to get the whole thing together. But right. I can't give you a cheaper price unless I can get enough of them sold to justify purchasing, like 5,000 copies.
Right.
So that's where, like, telling the stores, I've got stores that don't want to carry a book called Fire Bitch. Or people think that it's a dirty book. It's not. It's like PG-13.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen the first issue. You sent me it when you were first doing it, and yeah, it kind of went on the kind of the Zenoscope or that kind of level where, yeah, the covers are a little risque sometimes, but the interior, yeah, they're not dirty books or anything like that. Waiting for the trade kills floppy sales also. Yeah, Mark is right. Collecting trades are great to buy, but what keeps comic companies in business are the floppy sales. The sales of the individual books. That's how the artists and the writers and stuff get paid. So
exactly. Yeah. So that's where the Kickstarters are so important. That's also where you're going to get your collectors covers and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, do you find that Kickstarter is, well, obviously you keep doing them, but you find that's a decent business model at this point?
I think it depends on per person. I know a lot of people that they say, oh, I've got a great idea. Now you're a writer. How many people do you get? Hey, I've got this $1 million idea. So I'll give you the idea and you write it, and then we'll find an artist, and then they'll do it for free, and then we'll pay them when we get the money. If your idea is so damn great, you put your money into it. If you believe in your idea that much, that you believe that you're going to make $1 million, then you go get a loan for $5,000 to $10,000, hire your writer, hire your artist, get your proofs made, and put it out.
Yeah, I've had people come up and say, "I've got this great idea for you," and my answer to that is always, does the great idea start with you paying me up front for the work that's going to be involved? Because if not, it's not a great idea to me. You can take that elsewhere, but it's not going to work for me. Because, yeah. And they might have a great idea.
Well, you have to remember, though, like, okay, so for someone to write that or draw that, that's their job.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they put food on their table. That's how they, pay for their kids to go skating or pay for, their house or their dog's medicine or whatever. So... they need to eat. And if it's so great, quit your job and write it your damn self.
Mm-hmm. It's like painting a house. If you're paying someone to paint the house, you're paying for more than just the paint. You're paying for their labor, their work, because otherwise you could just paint the house yourself.
You can do it yourself.
Right.
And if they say, I don't know how, learn.
Yeah.
And exactly. I understand art is very different. Drawing is very different. But you know what? If your idea is that good, write it in prose. Mm-hmm. Write a novel. Write it in pieces on greeting cards. Get a loan.
And then go to your local comic shop. There's going to be an up and coming artist there. Every local comic shop has a local artist who is trying to find work. Give them some money and, then put your book out.
That's right. And that's the thing is, like, we do that all the time. Like, we're, people, oh, you made all this money. Like, I didn't get to keep any of that. Like, it's all going to artists to draw the next books. So,
Mark says, writing crayon on tissues. Yeah, get your story out there. All right, let's swing this back around to cosplay. We got a couple minutes left here. What's your favorite cosplay that you've done?
I love zombies. I'm not supposed to say that, though, because it's gross.
I've seen a couple of your zombie pictures.
I know. You have.
Yeah, they're kind of creepy, I got to tell you.
Yeah, so I love Jason because I get to carry a machete. And, you see those people, like, walking through the forest with their machete, cutting through the trees. And that's what I feel like at the con. I'm at the con. I'm in the jungle of the con. Let me slice you out of the way and slice you out of the way and slice you out of the way. I'm the most comfortable in Fire Bitch and in Powergirl. I don't have anything stuck to my face.
Yeah.
And I just feel a little more at home.
What's the one cosplay you haven't done yet, but you really want to?
7 of 9, and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's right. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I can see that.
So me and you were supposed to do a little project together during COVID.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you know what I learned? So for the fans here, Dan wanted to do like a love story type relationship where, like, during COVID, about two people who, they were supposed to meet up, but they ended up essentially like corresponding.
Yeah, basically, love during the pandemic. It was going to be a series of letters back and forth as two people basically courted each other through the fact we couldn't meet in person, stuff like that. So.
And you're just like every other man, Dan. You say you want a relationship, but then you don't.
Yeah, well, I do have to remind you are married.
This is the proverbial. It doesn't make the rejection any less painful.
Oh, then I am sorry.
No, but I do think it'd be fun. I think we should do something.
Oh, yeah. I agree. I think it would be fun to work on something. So we just got to find the right project.
I think we do. I think that, we have very different takes on things and very different ideas about things. And I think that can either be a very headbutting experience or it can work together very, very well. And that's why I work really well with Alfred, because first of all, I think that men give women too much credit when they write about them.
Okay.
They're always beautiful and perfect. And if they're flawed, it's like some goofy, cute flaw. It's not ever like, a horrible flaw. And, being a woman, I know the truth. We are not that great. And I think that a lot of times men will put women on a pedestal, and I will kick that bitch off that pedestal because I know that she's sitting up there on your back. And so I think that it works really well because then we get multiple sides. And then when you're dealing with aliens, it's really cool because you can kind of go anywhere with it. And in Fire Bitch 1, it's very clear. You've got your good guy and your bad guy, and everyone has very clear positions on the board, but issue 2, everything you thought in issue 1, nope. Well, shit. Kind of like, when you meet that person and they're so wonderful and beautiful and amazing and great, and then they turn out to be a total piece of crap.
Oh, yeah. The honeymoon period ends.
Oh,
they
yeah.
start their real self.
Absolutely. So we're getting a lot of that going on. It's very exciting. And then issue 3 is going to throw us into a whole other thing. So it's very exciting and a lot of fun. So you never really know what the truth is.
Right.
And I like that.
So Fire Bitch is available now. Fire Bitch 2 is available now. You can get Fire Bitch 1 through the same campaign or from your store.
That's right. We have a special cover for Fire Bitch 1 that we put out with the campaign. Okay. And there's actually a connecting cover with Patriotica that you can get on my store as well as Bound Olympus's store. So there are 2 pieces that go together. There are 2 books. It's Patriotica #1 and Fire Bitch #1, and you put them together for a they're both of them are in a bathing suit and they're both cosplayed by me, but they're in the same location, next to each other. Yeah,
you're outside by a pool, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the cover. It's a nice setup, and then the connecting cover part. Now you also have your card set that's available now on Indiegogo. 52 unique photos or images.
52 card pickup. Yeah,
pinup. Old Maid, and the wild card. So. Want to make sure people know about that too. You can support Kara at karanicole.club. Also, the 183degreestudio.com where you can buy their stuff. So we're going to be wrapping up the show here. Thank you, Kara, very much. That was a quick hour.
I know. We need to catch up. I really enjoy hanging out with you, and it's been so long.
It has. So I need to make a trip out to Phoenix soon and come see you guys. So
we'll come out for the next convention.
I'm going to try. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up. I'm not sure who's next, but I will be back at 5 o'clock Pacific, at 8 o'clock Eastern with Kyle to do in-stores this week. Stick around for whatever's coming up next. It's probably Rex and the Not Nicks talking comic collectibles, if I'm correct. But thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow on the Dan Wickline Show. Good night, everybody.